everything individually. So,
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, that's smart. We have good intentions, but we never get to it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we try.
Yeah,
Okay, so
oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say we're just gonna chit chat for a minute while we wait for people to log on. It takes them a minute to get to find us once we go live.
He was an offshore fisherman, he a hobby. So we've always had fish, and we've always frozen everything. Got that little professional freezer, and we still do it with hamburger, and we do it with chicken, and we do it with all kinds of stuff. So Sam's is good for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Then put it in the freezer and hopefully get to it.
Oh, well, tell her we're closed. Yeah, locals should know we do have a live at 4. Okay, so we've got a few watchers. We've got Brenda from the Bay Area, Sue, Jenny, Peggy. Hi, ladies. Okay, so and Cindy Gygax, welcome. We have Leigh here from South Carolina, and she is the well, she's going to tell us the story. I don't want to get it mixed up, and you know I will. So, Leigh, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and you can tell us how you got started and all that good stuff. And as they type in questions, I'll just ask you.
Okay, great. Okay, I'd like to thank you, first of all, for inviting me and letting me join you guys. I mean, this is kind of fun. I don't normally do this, so this is actually a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that when we have our class, we will have equally as much fun.
I'm sure.
When I retired from IBM as an engineer, I played for about 2 years down in Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, and I found after about 2 years that I really needed something. I needed something to drive me because when you've gone 100 miles an hour and you slow down to 15, you really sometimes there's something missing. So I decided one day walking through a quilt shop with my girlfriend, I said, I think I'll start designing quilt patterns. And she looks at me and she says, "Oh, okay, that's a great idea." Well, it happened. And it turned into something I was surprised. This was meant to be a hobby. And it became a hobby gone awry. And I think some of you probably understand that completely because quilting is one of those things and crafting that when you really love it, it takes over your life. And it's habit forming and you can't get away. The real start occurred about 2 years later. I had a friend in Roanoke, Virginia that had a shop, and she said, "Leigh, we've got a Mancuso show coming up, and I need something to pull people into my booth. I've got to have a quilt hanging there that will just, everybody wants to come and see that quilt. And it's going to be the Moda line of fabrics, and it's going to be called Hampton. And this was in Hampton Roads, Virginia. So perfect, red, white, blue, great." Well, my sister and I, who was with me at the time, came up, we played and we came up with 3 or 4 suggestions, sent EQ images to her and said, "Okay, here's some suggestions." She picked one and she said, "That's it. That's the quilt right there." Well, she sends the fabric, we made the quilt, which I'll show you in just a couple minutes, by the way. She makes the quilt, hanging in the booth. It is a hit. She has got more people coming in. We sold out of patterns, had to get more printed up. Well, this woman comes by the booth and she says, is that your design? I understand that's your design in your quilt." And I said, "Well, yes, my design, my quilt." She said, "Well, I'd like to put it in the magazine. I'd like to propose it going to a magazine, quilt magazine." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" She said, "Well, you have to give up the quilt pattern for 1 year." She said, "We'll send you fabric to make us a sample. That sample is yours after we've photographed it. We own the pattern for a year, and you get it back after a year." And I'm thinking to myself, I did not fall off the back of a wagon. This woman she's a scam artist. She's probably going from booth to booth to booth to booth, getting free patterns. Well, as it turns out, she really was the editor of Quilt magazine. It turns out she was also a Baptist minister's wife. She was really, really lovely person. And it turned out the quilt made the magazine. And as a matter of fact, I'll show you. I'm not sure if I can see this. It actually made the cover of the magazine. So some of you may have this magazine in your stash somewhere. This was 2009. made the cover, first time ever. I was just ecstatic. I thought I had just died and gone to heaven because that was the start. From that cover, I was able to use that as a submission with International Quilt Market to become a vendor at the International Quilt Market in Houston. And that helped us get in. You have to, you have to apply, show your product, show a little layout of what you're going to do, and they accept or reject. Well, they took it, and that cover helped. Once I got the market in Houston, I then went to the main distributor, Checker distributor, and asked them to come and visit the booth, see if perhaps we could become a vendor. And we were able to get in the first time after market, which the other vendors at the market said you're lucky. It usually takes 2 or 3 markets to get in. You got in the first time, so you got something good. And I can tell you what it was. It was a quilt. So that one quilt is what got the business started. Before that, I was happy to get. I'd call my sister and I'd say, "Oh wow, we got 3 patterns of this and 6 of this one and 9 of that," and I would be so excited. Well, we grew. But the problem is, by the time we got through going to Salt Lake City and to Pittsburgh and to Kansas City, never got to Portland, by the way. My husband and I talked about it and decided this is almost too much. We're both retired. We don't need to do this. We need to have a life and enjoy this hobby. And he's over here laughing he's my cameraman. He's laughing, by the way. But we did decide to pull back, and we decided to stop working quilt market because it really was the business just exploded, and that's not what we really wanted to do. I wanted to have a hobby that didn't take over our lives, so we've kind of managed that way. So I'm going to have him come over. If you'll zoom out the camera just for a second, I'll show you the quilt. I showed you the picture there. This picture is called a wave. So there is the quilt that got the world started. Listen, I am vertically challenged, about 5 feet tall. I do have a stool, which I will step on the next time. Okay, so I'm going to put this one away, but that's what got it started. And this one speaks to my heart, both from a patriotic standpoint and from a business standpoint. Now, what I'll show you, this is the pattern, and Beth can get the pattern if you decide you would like to make that. This thing uses a template. There's a template inside, but after about 2 or 3 years, I realized it might be a good idea to have a plastic template because I made my own plastic template to use. Beth can get these if you choose. It does make life a lot simpler and a whole lot faster when you use the template. Okay, now this is its sibling. This came probably, if you want to phase out, there you go. This came about 5 years later. I had always said, I want to take that same pattern, but I want to put turtles. My girlfriends in South Carolina, they are into the turtle thing. They are always, every year, they're on the turtle watches where they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go find the nest. When they find the markings for the mother turtle, they go find the nest and move the eggs to a location that's safer, put a fence around it to keep raccoons and stuff like that away. But they wanted a quilt with turtles, so I thought this is the perfect quilt. So I renamed this one the original Beach Crawl and put the turtles on it, and it has been a tremendous success. It's probably the top seller. Now, come back about 5 years later, and the girlfriend said, listen, I really would like to have a tote. And I want my tote to have turtles on it. So now it takes me a minute to find my camera. Okay, here we go. These waves are actually considerably smaller than what on the quilt. These are 4-inch blocks, and the quilt over here, those are 6-inch blocks. Then if you'll zoom out just a little bit on that. When I made this tote, when I first started, I put in fusible fleece for the ends, to line it, but with the lining, fusible fleece for the outside, because I did want to keep the turtles with a little puffiness to them. I use what I call a contrapunto method of adding some body to the turtle. But what I found was when I put it down on the floor, the tote kind of flopped over. So I remade it this time with a fusible foam for the lining. It's fused to the lining. The outside still has its fusible interfacing. Fun thing to make, and it's really nice because There's plenty of room inside this. He's got some pockets in there, but a lot of room. And it looks good for all my turtle girls. We've got turtle hospitals about 2 hours away from here on the coast. So people in this area really like it. And I have done well with these things in the California region. Okay. Now before,
It disappeared.
okay, before the tuck came up with a very small little ready set go tote. This is small. If you look at my hand, it's not much bigger. Simple little zippered thing just to carry my stuff in. And that's all. So we've done very well with this because it's smaller. It's a project that you can get done pretty quick. I have taught all three of these and have done well with them. This is a day-long class plus a little bit more. This is a day class. I thought I could get it shorter than a day. But the applique took a little more time than I thought it was going to. So that these were long day classes. Okay. And of course, that still uses that. Now let me show you. And that was called the original beach crawl. Head mount tote. Okay. And then ready, set, go. So I'm gonna pass my turtles now.
And Leigh, I'm just gonna chime in. So girls, you know the drill. If you want anything, you can just type it in and I'll write notes and then we'll get it to you. So we've got the wave was the red, white, and blue one, and then the original beach crawl is the one that's hanging behind Leigh, and then the tote bag. So, and if you want the template, let me know. Perfect.
Right. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a quilt that the template again. Once I have the template, it's like I gotta have things that people aren't wasting their money. The template, when you buy it, you don't want to just put it in the drawer, use it one time. This fabric came out about 2 months ago. It is from Thomas Treasures, and it's based on Gustav Klimt styling, who was an artist who died somewhere around 1910. The fabric sold out so quickly. Thomas Treasures is reprinting it now, and it's going to be available in August and September for shops. So let me show you this one. This time I'm going to stand on my stool. Okay. All right. There is Cleo the cat. The fabric line is called Cleo the cat, and it is some of the most beautiful fabric. I can't show you the fabric. Let me see if I can get up close here. I got my cameraman over here holding the other side of the quilt. It has gold in it, and that fabric line is just absolutely beautiful. But I get calls all the time, please, where can I buy the kit? There's not a piece of this around right now. I mean, it's completely out of the market. I know that Keepsake Quilting keeps advertising the kits, but what happens is people put it on order only to realize it's going to be 2 months before they get it. And they get frustrated. They call me up and say, where can I get it? Well, you really can't. But in about 2 months, that panel will be available again. And that panel is just beautiful. I got to tell you, it's just really pretty. These are just the circles again. If you look, and it's just alternating the light and dark. So this was called the multiverse. Again, using the same template, but using the Cleo, the fabric from Thomas Treasures. So if you're interested, be sure and tell Beth you want that fabric. She needs to get it on order. I think you said you carried Gustav Klimt type fabrics, right, Beth?
We do have 4 different panels of his, but they're of the original artwork that was stolen during the Austrian War. Yeah. So it's of like their what they called their Mona Lisa. It's well, I'll have to show it to you. But most of the girls know they've got them. They've got the panels.
Okay. Okay.
But I'll have to order the cat when the cat gets
I think you need to get it on order, because what they said was shops that have it on order now will get it in August, and shops that are putting it on order will get it in September. So you want to get your name in the line pretty quick.
Right.
So that's called the multiverse, and the fabric's Cleo the cat. Okay, the next one is Completely different. No circles on this one. Believe it or not, I have 2 or 3 more quilts with those circles on it, but I decided I couldn't show you everything. This is a quilt called Pinwheels with Attitude. And if you look at the fabric, let me see if it's cool back a little bit more this way. This is some of the K Facet fabrics. I had a whole stash of them in my closet, and I thought they were so beautiful, but I can't put one fabric next to the other. My old eyes have to have something to break them up so that I can really see them. So I just decided to go modern, something a little more traditional with those beautiful fabrics, but it turned out well, and the pattern has sold well because you can do so many things with it. It's just that when I put the cape in there, it seemed to do a lot better. So I was very happy with that. And it uses fat quarters, by the way. This is a fat quarter quilt. Okay. Now that quilt, that's called Pinwheels with Attitude. And it comes in several sizes, 78-inch square and a 78 by 97. And that was a 78 by 97. Okay, the next quilt is the newest pattern. This is called Shadow. My husband said, Shadows. It's called Shadows. This quilt is designed using jelly rolls. It takes 1 strip per block plus an inside, and I used, you can use charms or you can take a layer cake and cut it and get 4 because that's a 4-inch square on the inside. And then a shadow fabric, the black. In this case, I'm using black, but you can use any dark that you want to. But you can make that as big as you want. This is a pretty good size thing because that's a 12-inch block turned on the diagonal. So you've got a pretty good size quilt. This quilt doesn't have a binding on it yet. My handy quilter was very unhappy with it. It didn't like the backing fabric, apparently. And I had a tough time quilting this thing. A lot of shredded thread. But I like the quilt and I like the design. I've turned it in several times to the fabric manufacturers on the most recent design call, and I'm waiting to see if they pick any of those up. And some of them were actually in the same colors as the original beach crawl and the beach colors, and it looked really good. It looked great in bright colors. Because you pick up a jelly roll and they all go together, it's just going to look good anyway. So that's an easy block for that one into you. And that one's called Shadows. Okay. The next quilt is also a jelly roll quilt. This one's called Sunrise Sunset. And this again uses 1 jelly roll or part of a jelly roll and then a few other fabrics to stick in there. But it's a nice quilt because again, you've already got everything coordinated. You just have to buy something extra fabric to make your little stars. Choose whether you want a light color background or a dark color background according to what you're trying to do, and your jelly roll, and of course your centers, and you're ready to go. Okay.
I love how the stars float.
I do too. That's what really caught my attention. I really like it in the light background, but the sample's gone. This is the one I had left here, but it looks equally nice in a light background because no matter what, these stars just kind of stand out. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
And that's really just the sashing. Those are sashing.
Okay.
So
3 different blocks, basically.
Yes, you got 3 blocks. You got that block, and your sashing has a quarter square on it. So that's a quarter square on the end of a sashing is all that is. And that makes the star. So if you want to call that sashing a block, yes. Yeah. Okay. All right, that's sunrise, sunset. And you can see there it is in the light shade. And I love rust and corals and things like that together. It looks really pretty. Okay, the last one I'm going to show you on the quilts is one. The fabric line is out right now. It's by Clothworks. This is called Gramercy Chic. And this is just a soft combination of blue, sort of a dusty blue, a little bit of a teal green, brown and black with birds on it. And to me, the fabric was just so pretty. They asked me if I'd make a sample, and I said, absolutely, I'd be glad to. Um, so this one doesn't have the binding yet because it just got finished. But this is a nice one, and it's, again, I've got, these are flying geese, and these are quarter squares. This is a quarter square, and that's a quarter square. So it's not really that many parts. It's half squares, quarter squares, and flying geese is what makes this quilt up. It doesn't look like it, but that's what makes it. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's called Gramercy chic. Okay. Now I'm going to show you one. Denny, if you'll pull the camera in just for a second.
I gotta get there.
Okay.
And girls, if you want any of the patterns that need the template, just let me know if you want me to send you the template also.
Okay. Last thing I'll show you before we get to the baskets is this is a pattern I did a long time ago, and it was called Gadget Girls. I'm a gadget girl. I love carrying all my stuff with me. I updated it again in K-Facet Fabrics. And this thing is so simple, a bunch of compartments to hold your stuff, okay? Now, I've taught this in classes, and this is a great class because we use zippers, and we put the zippers in with wash away Wonder Tape, and I think Beth has that in her shop. That's your second pair. That's your second pair of hands, and it's wonderful because you stick the vinyl to the zipper, and gosh, it's so nice to do that. But this is the easy one, easy class. And of course, you always have the little scratch bag, so you use your leftovers for your little scrap bag. Okay, and that's called Gadget Girls Toolkit. Now, I had this one in a green color, and I thought, no, I got to change it. So I pulled that OK Facet stuff out again, and it made a world of difference. It revitalized the pattern again, so I was very happy with that. All right, I'm going to move things here. Denny, I don't think you can get to the. Okay, you want to take a quick break?
Yeah.
You want to try the camera?
I'm gonna switch.
Okay. Wait, Ben, we're going to try and see if we can switch the camera.
Okay.
So that we can get the table, because the next part needs the table. If not, we'll just go back to this camera. So if you'll just chit chat for a minute.
Okay. All right. You let me know when you're ready.
Okay, we sure will.
All right, girls. So,
no, he's not. He's moving my whole camera around the room. Here. Oh, Lord. You're not supposed to see the whole sewing room.
That's okay. I took you off. Okay,
good.
You know what? The ladies love to see your sewing room because it makes them feel like their room might not be so messy, or it gets them incentivized to actually, straighten up.
Well, I wouldn't do that with this because I tell you what, I've got this huge, huge room. The problem is to set this whole thing up with all these cameras. We had to move the couch from one wall to the other side, so it's stuck around some cabinets, and there's a chair in the middle of the room. The poor little dogs are in their crate over here on the wall. Quilts on the floor where we just threw them as we were doing it. So maybe another time might be better.
Perfect. Well, and our ladies are used to it. They realize that we are a work in progress. We're constantly, creating things, and typically, if your sewing room is perfect, it's because you know you're going on camera. It's not real life.
Okay, well, I tell you what, not perfect. It must be real life. I see a glass of water, a glass of lemonade, quilts on the floor. Got it. Okay. Yeah. I think he's got the camera back.
Okay, here, I'm going to put you back. And let's see.
Can you see this?
Yep, that looks good.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the baskets, okay?
So the basket we have scheduled for August 12th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's via Zoom, or you guys, if you are local and you want to come into the shop, you can. But otherwise, Leigh will be on via Zoom.
Okay, great. Okay, let me just show you a few samples of the basket. This is a small basket, and this is the type of thing we're going to be doing. We will make our coils, we will leave gaps in it, and then we will add our beads or whatever we want to add to it, and we'll add a binding. We'll have a lovely basket. This is a small. This is a medium size. Let me see if I can hold it so you can see the size here. It's a little hard to hold this thing sideways. There we go, like that. Okay. As you can see, one's taller, one's wider. And then if you really want to get aggressive, you can make a very large basket. The pattern gives you the opportunity, it tells you how many strips to make the small, the medium, and the large. And it's up to you what you choose to make. You have to decide what are you going to do with your basket? Are you just going to throw little things in it? Candy, leave it on the shelf? Are you going to make it an art display and put it on the shelf and not put a whole lot of stuff in it? Or is it going to be a little more functional, a little plainer, and throw your thread, throw your yarn, whatever you happen to do, okay? So the pattern will tell you how many strips to make. Can you see the, there we go, see the strips. It will tell you how many strips we're going to make each size of it. And you can always add one, take one away. One jelly roll, by the way, if you had a 40-piece jelly roll, you can make all three if you're short, a couple, like one or two of them, one piece, because it comes out to be 42. If you got a 42-piece jelly roll, you can make all three sizes. If you only have a 40-piece jelly roll, you may have to add two or just remove a couple of pieces, okay? So what you need for your class would be a pattern from Beth, of course. You need your clothesline from Beth, okay? This is a poly wrap cotton. You need to have your strips. Now you have a choice: buy yardage and make your strips, or buy something that's all coordinated. That's entirely up to you what you do, right? I highly recommend when you buy your thread to do this, I like to use a variegated, because when you're using all these colors, a variegated is really nice because you're going to be doing a zigzag stitch, and the variegated really shows up nicely when you go to stitch these things together. So a nice 40-weight variegated thread. You need to use 9014 jeans needles. You want a heavy-duty needle because you're going to be going through fabric and the clothesline, and you want to make sure your needle is strong enough to support this activity. My machine requires that I use a walking foot. I've got a friend who says I don't have to use a walking foot. Mine sews just fine between the feed dog and the top, but I would recommend if you have a walking foot or a dual feed, it's really the best thing because you want that fabric to feed smoothly. You know, the walking foot takes the feed dog and the two of them come together at the same time, and that's the whole purpose of that walking foot, rather than this one moving and this one staying on the top and it's sliding the fabric. So I do like to use a walking foot or a dual feed on my machine for this project. We're going to be using zigzags, so make sure, you see that, make sure you have your little stitch zigzag stitch plate, not this is a straight stitch plate, I guess they call that, Beth. Yeah. It's not the single hole. We want your straight stitch because we're going to be doing zigzag. Mm-hmm. Now, when we go to sew our beads on, you're going to want to use thimbles, because I'm going to tell you, when you're pushing a needle up through that stuff with thread, I highly recommend you stick a thimble in there. Don't get something that a needle can go through. There's all kinds of stuff out there. Just make sure you got something that protects it and that needle will not slip off that thimble. Okay? Other thing I like to use is a pair of jewelry pliers, because when I push that needle up with my thimble, sometimes I need a little help pulling that needle up. And these little guys will help you do that. So that's just a good idea. You don't have to have it, but it's a good idea to have them handy. Okay. And of course, needles. Now, when it comes time to do your beads, you've got lots of opportunities. I put this out here because you can go to yard sales and you can find some great beads in yard sales and necklaces and just take them apart. These two are nice necklaces. I take them apart. Or you can go to the craft shop, buy nice beads all wrapped up. There's all kinds of them out there. Whatever you want to get, whatever matches your fabric is what you want to do. So just go ahead and find a collection. But I do recommend going to yard sales if you want to, and just because you can find some great things in the jewelry department. Now, let me take these things and move them.
Well, you could even use like jewelry, costume jewelry, and all kinds of fun stuff, couldn't you?
Yeah, that wasn't when I said, yes, costume jewelry, yes. When I
Yeah.
said yard sales, that is costume jewelry. But
Okay.
you can go buy costume jewelry, absolutely. And that's what I typically use is I use costume jewelry because there's just a lot of stuff out there that's really interesting. So you can do anything you want to do. That's the nice thing. I didn't show this yet, so I'm going to show this now. Make sure my iron's hot. It is.
So if they are taking the class, they're going to have a little bit of prep and homework so that they're not wasting their time in class, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's what we're going to talk about right now.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, to save time, I have one homework assignment for you, and that is you're going to sew together. Let's say you have it called for 12 strips. You're going to sew your 12 strips together into one long piece, okay? Let's see if I can get the camera in the right place. There we go. You can see where I've sewn just like on a quilt. You can see that I've sewn it together just like I would binding. And the pattern tells you exactly how to put those together to do that. But then we have to fold it so that we can wrap this around the clothesline. Now you have two ways you can do that. I'm going to show you the two ways. One is a little more time consuming, and the other is a little faster. Now this is what it will look like after you fold. Pretend like I've got 10,000 strips out here. If you look, it's just one side folded over the other side. Looks like that one. Okay. It's going to meet in the center. All right. Now, I've got two ways to do that. Let's go the manual way first. I've got a piece of fabric. I'm going to fold it in half, wrong sides together, if there's such a thing as wrong sides on batiks. And I am going to iron that, just iron a crease into it. I'm going to open it up, and we'll fold each raw edge to that center, and then I'm going to iron that. Now you can see why this might take a little time, because I've got 12 strips 42 inches long each. Okay. So here's one way. This is manual. It works perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, there's a crease on the back. Does not matter because we're going to put our clothesline inside here and we'll fold it over. And by the time we get through, you're not going to see any creases. Okay. So that's the manual way. Now, there's an easier way, and it's up to you. Beth, you have the gypsy. Can you get the gypsy jelly roll?
Yeah, if they want that, we have it in stock.
Okay, perfect. If any of you are lucky enough, years ago, Clover came out with this, or Simplicity came out with a bias tape maker, and it was automatic, and you stuck your strips in there and put whatever tool you had, and it ironed it for you and rolled it for you. It was awesome. Well, there are some of those things floating around from the old Simplicity, but not many. So Gypsy came out and made something similar. Now, the important part on this tool is it must be purple. Purple is for the 2.5 inch. They're color coded. So if you go and look at any of the bias tape makers, you'll find green and yellow. Purple is designed for 2.5 inch strips. Okay. Now, when you use this, the first thing you want to do is you want to, on one end, make yourself a triangle, because what you're going to do is you're going to feed that triangle into the large end of the gypsy, and we'll stick it in and push it. And if you see it's coming out the other end, Denny, can you focus in a little bit closer?
No,
Is
I
that
can't.
it?
That's it.
Okay. Beth, can you see what's coming out of this end, or is it close enough? Beth?
Yep, it looks good. It's perfect.
Okay, so you can see it. Okay, so as I pull this, it's folding for me. I take my iron and I just fold, and I can just follow this thing along, and I can just keep on going. So I'm not having to worry. Now it will leave a little gap in the center. Doesn't matter. I can pull it together if I want to, but I don't need to. Just pull it together, just a little bit. Just keep ironing. But this is a whole lot faster than having to go through and fold, fold it in half, fold and fold. Okay? So what I end up with is one long strip already folded. Okay? So what your only assignment will be, put all these strips together and iron these strips so that the raw edges meet the center. Within, you can have a gap, don't worry about that, just as long as they are pretty close to meeting in the center. Okay? So what you're going to end up with, and I want to warn you of one thing, I would suggest you put it into a roll, but just realize the last piece, when you roll this thing up, this is going to be the center of your basket. So whatever's on the end, you put them in the order you want, but when you make your basket, this will be the inside roll, and what's on the very center will be the very outside edge. It's just the opposite of what you would think. You say, oh, look, that looks like a great basket. Well, it really does, except it's the opposite of what you're really going to get. I'm not going to have a gold center and a green outside. I'm going to have a dark green center and a gold outside. So after we do that, we will teach you in class how to put them together. We'll teach you how to leave the little gaps in there, how to add the binding to the top to give it a nice finish, and then we will add the beads. Okay? So Beth, that is the story of what we're going to do in this class. Do you have any questions?
Girls, do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions? I would say, ladies and gentlemen, but Victor's not here today. I don't know where he is. I think you explained it pretty well. I'm super excited to see how to make the holes, because I've seen the baskets have been around forever, but
yes.
The holes are very unique.
Yes, it adds a nice touch to it. It just dresses it up. I got to tell you this. I'll show you the one. This one is this one's huge, but it just looks so nice with all of its holes in it. It just adds something to it. It's amazing.
It's gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Get to play, because when you first do it, you may not like the first result you do. You say, well, I wish I'd moved my colors a different place. Every basket turns out a little different. I will tell you, if you take a stripe and put in there, you end up with a snake in your basket. Done that. A stripe will turn out into a snake, which is very interesting if you're doing browns and blacks and stuff like that. It's very interesting what some of the fabrics will do.
Yeah. Okay, Terracotta wants to know, does she need polyester or cotton variegated thread?
I like to use cotton. I like to use the 40 weight cotton variegated. You can use the other. I don't think there's any reason why you can't use it. It's thinner. Polyester tends to be a little thinner. The cotton's a little bit thicker, and you see it a little more. And you want to see those threads. That's part of, if you look at I'm not sure if you can get close enough. Can you see? Mm-hmm. Can you see the threads on there?
Yeah. Well, they blend in pretty good.
Yeah. Let me see.
You can see the texture on it, but they blend on that one. It blends in pretty good.
Yeah. Look at this. This will be better. This will be better. Let me just pour everything out and make a mess on my table. You can see this one better.
Yes.
See the threads, mm-hmm. And that's a 40 weight cotton, and you can just see it adds one more level of detail to the basket.
Right. So 40 weight would probably be the heaviest weight you would want.
That's what I like to use. Yes,
Okay.
I've never used anything heavier. 40 is just a good weight.
Yeah.
Get a 3-ply because you don't want a 2-ply. Make sure it's 40 weight 3-ply. 2-ply would break.
Perfect. And then Connie, we can send you the recording if you can't attend it live. That won't be a problem at all. Okay, any other questions, girls? Peggy says it was a great demo. She loved the show and tell.
Well, thank you, Peggy.
All right. Okay, I think that you showed it. We've got thumbs up, Connie says. She's going to go sign up for the class.
Super.
All right, so girls, you and ladies and gentlemen, you can always go back and rewatch this and let us know what you need. Donna says she loves it all. And is it just regular clothesline?
It is a polyester with a cotton. Let's see. Let me read it for a second.
Yeah, and we will have it on Wednesday's sale.
It's actually cotton on the inside, polypropylene on the inside, stretch resistant. As long as you've got, this one was called household clothesline. Yeah. So yeah, it's regular, but it's not that nylon stuff you have outside for weatherproof stuff. This is literally cotton.
Yeah, it feels like cotton. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. It's cotton coated polypropylene.
Yeah.
It's just the core. The core is there just for strength.
Perfect. And then Jenny says, what is the price of the patterns?
All my those are 12, right, Danny?
Yeah, all the patterns with the exception of the
okay, the little tiny guy.
And that's exactly what she wants, the ready, set, go pattern. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that was 10.
Okay.
That's 10. The rest are all 12.
Perfect. Okay. Why did I sign up? Oh, I don't know. We have a weird person on right now. Hey, Christy, can you get rid of that? Hang on. We always get stalkers posting weird stuff.
Oh.
I don't know. Somebody was on Valium or something.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all of the questions.
Okay, great.
And how much does the template cost?
12.
12 for the template too, Sue. And and that template will do the cat quilt, the turtle quilt, the turtle bag, the wave bag, anything else?
Not the turtle bag. It does not do that.
Okay. But they don't need one for that?
There's a template inside the pattern. It's smaller, and I would say don't waste your money.
Okay.
Because this is a lot of curves. This is only a few curves. Yeah, here's the difference in size. Whoop. Here's the difference in size.
So the big one's for the quilt and the little one's for the bag?
Yeah. Now, what I plan to do down the road is I'm going to use this little guy and make a baby quilt. Because I've had people to say, I want to make a turtle quilt. I don't want those big blocks. So I'm going to make a baby quilt with the little blocks. So I'll use this again down the road. I just haven't done it yet. So this is small. I'm just kind of sitting with these right now, but you can see the difference in the size.
The little one's $8.75.
Yeah, the little one's $8.75. It's just that you don't really need it for the bag. My vendor made it out of night. He was being nice. He said, oh, you need this. You need this. I said, no, I really don't need this because I can't sell this in my good heart. I cannot sell to someone something they don't need.
Right.
So
right.
I have to come up with something on this one, and it's going to be a baby quilt of some kind. So down the road.
Perfect.
Now, there's also some other quilts. I will tell you, I fell in love with one quilt and I called it Rio. Well, Rio makes the curve. The problem with Rio, it was boobs and butts.
Uh-oh. That's something we would end up doing.
Well, it was really kind of interesting. I fell in love with it and nobody else did. But from the side, it looked like marching boobs.
Yeah.
And then along the edge, everything turned into bikini butts.
Uh-oh.
I thought it was going to be a beach blanket. It didn't go over very well. I did have a quilt that went over extremely well, and that was called Rush Hour Traffic Beach Style. And you would not know that it was the same pattern or the same, it's exactly the same thing. Then if you got one real quick, 40, number 40, I think. I'll bring a picture because you'll get a kick out of this.
Okay, here,
I'm
gonna make you big again.
Okay. Hang on one second.
Wait, hang on a second. I made me
made you big.
Yeah. You know, I'm not techie. I'm just lucky I can even turn on the computer sometimes. Okay, hang on a second.
That is the same block.
Really?
The only difference is there are some square blocks stuck in there to make the fish body. But if you look at the fins and the tails, those are all the curve. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising, isn't it?
Yes. Is that the small template or the big template?
No, that's the big template. The difference is, the reason I didn't bring it out, I've got two samples of it back here. The template really needs to have another part to really do it right, but it actually, the curve makes this stuff, but I don't normally push it because there's another template in the pattern along with the curved one to get the tails and stuff like that. So it's there, but I just want to show you that's actually the same thing. Wow. So there's some other patterns in my stash. I've got one called Ball and Jacks Gone Rogue, and it took the block that you use the template and separate them, and all of a sudden I've got balls and jacks. And it's really kind of cute because it's a great kids quilt. And I didn't bring that one in here either. So, yeah, you can't show. Uh-oh, Denny brought in the fish quilt. Let me just show you the fish.
Okay. So this is the one with the big one, the big ruler.
Yeah, that uses the big one. Mm-hmm. Okay, Ball and Jacks is in there. I'll tell you what, it's okay. We've seen enough.
And Mary wants to know, curves, are they, because Mary doesn't pay attention, so we have to say things a couple of times. But really, we probably have to say it for lots of the ladies. Mary's just the only one who was brave enough to ask the question because she probably fell asleep and was taking a nap. But she wants to know, are the curves freehand, or can you use the template, or is there a pattern?
There is a template and a pattern. You do not have to buy the template. When I first started, I took the template that I had in the pattern. I went and made a plastic one, little Templar, and used that. But my problem was when I was cutting it out with my rotary cutter, I was forever cutting my template. And by the time I get through, the template was a whole different shape. So I finally figured out I really did need to go ahead and get a template. But you don't have to. You can use the template in the pattern. It tells you to copy it onto a bunch of freezer papers and iron the freezer paper to the fabric and then cut around that. And then you can, because you can use freezer paper like maybe 4 times, and then you throw that template away from the freezer paper. So it tells you to make freezer paper templates, which I did for quite some time. I did that too. I went from freezer paper to Templar to the real thing. So you don't have to buy a template to do that. And the curves are foolproof. They are made too large. You sew 2 pieces back together, you end up with a little dog leg on it, and not like a junker's path. This is not a junker's path. You end up with a block that's too big. You use a 6.5-inch ruler and cut it down to a 6.5-inch square. So you always end up with a 6.5-inch ruler, and the pattern shows you how. I also have on my website under free patterns how to sew the circles together. I actually put that on the website just to have a visual of how you pin it and how you trim it. Make it easier for folks. Some people did, yeah.
So there are free patterns there. If you girls want to take a look at that, definitely check it. What's your website?
TheSweetTeaGirls.com. TheSweetTeaGirls.com. All one word, no spaces. TheSweetTeaGirls.com.
Right. And Victor says, "Oh my God, curves." And then Dorothy responded and said, "Do one, and you'll realize it's not that hard. Don't be afraid of it."
Yeah, this is unusual curve. It's what I call foolproof curves. It's not a junker's path where you have to have the ends match and the center match. And it's not like your clothes where you got to make sure everything's absolutely perfect. These are foolproof. And so, because like I said, you actually make them too big and then cut them down to size. So you end up with a perfect block.
Perfect.
And no one will ever know if you got the seam a little bit too large, because when you cut it down to size, it's a 6.5-inch block. Nobody ever knows.
Perfect. And Donna wants to know if you can send your husband to find the Ball and Jack's quilt. She'd love to see it.
Yeah, Ball and Jack's is back in the handy quilter room on that stack. It was only a few down because I started to show it.
Okay.
Yeah, Ball and Jack's is actually pretty cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll do that in just a second. We'll do that in a second.
And then if you girls and gentlemen want to order anything, you can just type it in and we'll get the patterns ordered for you. And there's quite a few that joined in late. So if you joined in late, go back and rewatch this, and you can type in any questions that you have, and we'll make sure that they get answered. And then Jenny wants to know, do you sell kits with the pattern on the tote bag?
I don't do kits. I am purely a pattern designer and have made the decision not to kit. You know, that's something I keep kicking around. But finally, you have to decide what you're going to be, and I decided not to be a fabric shop.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm still trying to learn that. Can you show the quilt with the bare panel again? And does she need the template?
You mean the cat panel?
I think it was a cat panel. I don't remember a bare panel.
Yeah, it was cat.
In the meantime, sure.
He hasn't found Ball and Jack's. He found Rio beach quilt. So yes, give me 1 second. I'll show you Rio, and you're going to see boobs and butts. Let me get boobs and butts in the right order here. You're going to say, I don't see that. I see ducks. I see geese on their side.
Oh, Christy says kidding is not fun. Yeah.
There's March of the boobs. Those are bikini. Those are bikini tops. And if you look at the butts on top, those are thongs. See the butts, see the thongs? This is a cheek.
Yes,
Thong.
yes.
It didn't go over. So I said, that's geese on their side. Well, if you turn it on the side, it does look like geese, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, But, you know, Rio was meant to be this. It was meant to be a beach blanket. And I found the guys liked it. And I had a couple of shops that picked it up because the guys liked it. But it didn't sell that well. So, you know, you just don't keep things that don't sell that well. Let me see if I can find them. Let me find the multiverse real quick here.
That's true, Christy. In Rio, they do wear thongs.
If they wear anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was named Rio. I thought that was quite the appropriate name. Okay, this is Cleo the cat. Now, again, you do not have to have the template. The template is in the pattern. I mean, there is a paper template inside the pattern that you can use. I'm trying to get it so I can hold. It's hard to hold this thing and let you see this.
I didn't find the quote.
You can't find it.
Here's the.
Okay, I'll go find it real quick. Hold that, please.
Yep.
Okay. There's
So if you do buy the template, there's several patterns that you can use and get your money's worth for the template.
I would tell you on any of these that use a lot of surplus like this, I would recommend using it. I just have to say you don't have to, but I do recommend it because it makes it faster and a whole lot easier.
And like you said, every time you cut with the template plastic or freezer paper, you're going to cut into it and it's going to be smaller and smaller and smaller. Mm-hmm. On the cat quilt, can they use any panel? It's probably a 24-inch panel, I'm guessing.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I actually had in market, when they had quilt markets this spring market, they had one, Thomas Treasures had the pattern, but it had a outer space in it, and it was beautiful. She said it was a star of their booth because it Did do me a favor. I've got to find that ball and Jackson. You bring that one in if you want to. He's gonna bring in the universe with the spaces. Yeah, you can use any panel because that's a standard 24 by 44 inch. Actually, I think they call them 23 by 42s, but they're 44 by 24 normally.
And the one you just showed is called Smitten the Kitten.
No, no, that was the multiverse. That was called the multiverse. Smitten the Kitten is a whole different animal. I've got that someplace. Okay, here is the same quilt you just saw. This is also called the multiverse. This was called multiverse space. Now to move that which way? This way?
Yes.
Look at how different it looks with the different.
Yeah, this is the one they wanted to hang in the booth because it was so bright. It brought people into their booth. This was timeless treasures. So they just like a shop. They got to get their customers come into their booth, and this one really got some attention.
For sure.
That's bright, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Let me go see if I can find the. Give me 1 second. Since you want to see Gone Rogue, let me go look real quick. Just give me a second here.
Okay.
You should take that for a second.
Here's the pattern.
And so Gone Rogue is using the
Gone Rogue. That also uses the template.
Okay.
You can see the circles in it.
Yes.
And this one you can see the 6-inch circles or quarter circles.
Right. Perfect. So if you girls see and gentlemen, if you see anything that you need, just type it in and we'll make sure you get it. Okay. All right. I'm trying to write it down as you go. All right. Do you girls have any questions while she's looking for the, sorry, I'm trying to make sure I get the right names down for the right patterns. Do you girls and gentlemen have any questions? Or need to see anything again? Do you have any questions about the basket class? Or any questions in general? We do have several classes next week, just so you know. Next week, we've got the sunflower class for the bedazzled sunflower. And then we also have the cozy class next week. So make sure you get signed up for those. Okay. Is it true? You can't find it?
Listen, there must be 100 quilts in this house. And I'm trying my level best. I can't find it. I had it the other day. Can't find it, so we're not going to worry about it.
Okay, and there's the website, www.thesweetteagirls.com. And hey, Christy, can you just put a link in there for us, please? Perfect.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep, I think they got it. They can screenshot it.
I don't know where the quilt is. I had it just the other day, and it's like, where the heck did that go? If I hold this up close, what you will see is, if you see a red, it's kind of hard to show this. If you see a red circle big, you will also find a red circle small that matches it. That's what's cut away from it. When you use that template, you have a square fabric, you use the template, and you end up with a big pie and a little part. So the way I did the pattern is, if I have 4 big reds, I'm going to have 4 little reds, so I don't have any waste. If I have 4 big greens, I'm going to have 4 little greens, so there's no waste. So that makes a really cool one. So that's the same pattern again. Yeah.
And we love no waste.
Yeah.
Katie, she hasn't been paying attention because she's already been at your website. She says it's wonderful.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of stuff there.
Dorothy says you're delightful. After listening to your accent, she feels like she needs to go make a nice tall glass of iced sweet tea.
You go for it. We drink a lot of sweet tea. I've actually had to go to sugar-free, but now I'm throwing in that peach green tea Crystal Light into my tea, and what a nice drink. Regular tea with that peach tea thrown in there. Mm.
Oh, I throw some Crown Royal peach in it, and it's amazing.
Okay.
Christy says you wouldn't be able to put enough sugar in it. I like the booty wine on the website. Yep. You have a booty wine?
Booty wine, yeah, Diddy. I tell you what, bring that in holiday cheer. So you get the sample out of the closet.
Where is it?
They're hanging back in the handy quilter room.
Yeah.
Go into the closet near the the other closet. I have 2 supply closets in the other room, and that's where the samples go. I have a handy quilter sewing room and my regular sewing room. The handy quilter's worse.
Yeah. Katie says she checked out your website last week when she wondered what the heck she signed up for. She just signed up for the class without knowing what she was signing up for. Oh gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do with these girls.
Oh, they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. You know, Beth, you need to go ahead and set a cruise up one day and have a cruising quilt group.
No, I can't because I wouldn't be responsible enough. I would be enjoying myself.
Oh, but you don't have to. You have to have your teachers do that.
Okay.
You tell your teachers you cannot leave this classroom, and you have to be there at night for those students. And I don't care if your husband comes. You're the student's teacher, and you go off and play.
Okay, I could do that. Yeah. Katie, I know I saw it at Costco yesterday. I almost bought some. It was a ginormous bottle, but I already have 2 cases at home.
What was that?
The Peach Crown Royal, the peach whiskey. It's so good.
Okay.
Tell Leigh that I just got her large tote bag pattern in the mail a couple of days ago.
Okay, he brought just a couple of the booty wine totes. There's a whole bunch of them in my closet. He just brought what he could get his hands on.
Oh, those are cute.
Yeah, you make the boot and put the grommets on. Little bottom on it.
So are they stockings or they're for wine?
They're for wine. Booty wine tote.
Wow, I like that.
This is for Christmas. This is a little holiday cheer wine tote. Very simple, back quarter. It's lined. This is a good little make and take kind of thing because it doesn't take them very long to make it.
Yeah.
So this is actually a good one. This is called Holiday Cheers.
We went to Pittsburgh to the quilt show up there several years ago. And anyway, we were showing that. We took about 1,000 patterns with us, and we said, we'll never sell all those. Well, after the first day, we were back over printing more. We printed a second 1,000, and we sold out of those.
Wow. That's crazy.
The disgusting thing about doing it at market is they have their printers, and they charge you $1 a color copy.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. I mean,
but I had a friend up there that was in business, and he was kind enough to let us go try to wear his copier out.
Right. Oh, good. Yeah, it's crazy when you're at the conventions and you got to do anything. They charge you an arm and a leg.
Yeah, they have to make money. I get it, but it does hurt a little bit. But they do have to make money, so I can't fuss. Is there anything else you want to see while we're?
No, but Dorothy says you could also put a box of See's candy in the booty tote if you're not a drinker, which is true. You could put anything your heart desires. You could even put dried flowers in it. There's all kinds of fun stuff you could do. I'm getting it, Christy. I'm going to order them. Christy says, get the booty patterns.
Okay. I advertise it that way because I'm not a drinker, and I have suggested like some of this stuff. I've got one called Girls Night Out. Did you see that? Whoever was looking at those, look at Girls Night Out. That's a hoot. It's a leg on a high heel. Same idea. I'll see if I can get, when my helper comes back, I'll see if I can get him to run back down to the other room and get Girls Night Out. It's a hoot.
You guys aren't going to have to go to the gym today because you already got your steps in.
Yeah.
Katie, that is true. Katie says that we wouldn't be able to take a cruise because all the students would be with me drinking.
Oh,
It's a bunch of
awesome.
slackers here. Yes. A few responsible ones, but a few not so responsible.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, Danny.
I heard you.
Oh, he heard me talking. Oh, listen. Here's what he brought. Let me just show you how these things were hanging in the closet.
Oh,
This is
those
girl.
are adorable.
This is girls' night out. Let's see which one had. Oh yeah, she's got sparkle on her. Okay.
Now those are fat quarters, right?
I need to get the pattern on girls' night out. There's not much fabric to these things because if you look, that's a simple sole, a little bit for the shoe. The leg is important. Depends on what your nylons, what you want them to look like.
Oh my gosh,
But they're
those
really
are
cute.
adorable.
And I had advertised these as, this is a great, if you were having a little bridal thing and you wanted a funny centerpiece on your table for a funky thing, they're cute.
Yeah.
Great for gifts and stuff like that. So this was called Girls Night Out. The holiday cheer came first, and I had a friend who was helping me package patterns. She said, I want a boot. I'm a boot girl. I want a boot. So we came up with a boot, and then I realized we got to get the girls. So there's Girls Night Out. And yes, the background's a fat quarter, the lining's a fat quarter, the leg's a fat quarter, the shoe is a 12-inch square. Muslin for sublining. There's some low-loft fusible fleece, some fusible webbing, binding, and the grommets. And there's no grommets on this one. The little jewels. I went to Walmart and just found little jewels and stuff like that. Earrings is what I used for the. Those are little earrings and pins I used for the little gewgaws on. So it's actually fairly simple.
Perfect.
But I thought it was fun because I thought we needed to get those ladies' legs in there if we're going to put boots in there.
Yes. Yes. Well, Christy says now we have to have a girls' night out sewing zoo.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Okay, so girls and gentlemen, if there's any of these that you would like to take a class on, let me know, and then we will. Victor, that's a given. That's a given, Victor. If you want to take any classes, let us know so we can get those scheduled, and then we'll work. I'll go back and rewatch this so I can get all the patterns that we need to get off to you. Perfect. Okay. So I want to thank you, Leigh, for coming. And it was super fun. The ladies enjoyed it and the gentlemen. And we will see you on the 12th of August.
Yes, ma'am. I'm looking
Okay.
forward to it. We're ready. Okay.
Perfect. All right,
All right.
guys, we will see you on Wednesday at 4:00. Go get some sewing done. Go, go, go. So, all right.